Hunting in video games seems to have blown up in recent times. If it wasn't last year's Horizon Zero Dawn, then it was this year's Monster Hunter World and Red Dead Redemption 2. Still, hunting has always had a place in gaming history. Let's go ahead and take a look at 15 titles which offer some of the best hunting gameplay out there. Hunt Showdown. While more co-op shooter than solo hunting title, Hunt Showdown is still very much concerned with sniffing out your prey and exterminating them. The horror atmosphere really starts to seep in as you search for clues and eventually come face to face with your target. The twist that Hunt Showdown presents is that upon killing a nightmarish boss, you become a target to all other players on the map until escaping. This makes every match unique in its own right as it shifts from a PvE to PvP hunt. Horizon Zero Dawn. When Horizon Zero Dawn was first rumored, we didn't think there could be that much nuance to fighting giant robot animals/dinosaurs. As it turns out, the machines were way more complex than that, featuring unique mannerisms and reactions depending on if they're threatened or not. Specific weak points and weaknesses to certain damage types, along with different patterns of attacking, make each hostile machine encounter memorable even if you're hopelessly pelting them with arrows at the start. Duck Hunt. You can't have a list about hunting games without thinking about the OG. Duck Hunt first released in 1984 for the NES and stood out as an amazing light gun game. The gameplay was also incredibly straightforward. Shoot a specified number of ducks in a round and progress forward. You get a limited number of shots and must be accurate, lest your faithful mutt laughs at you in disdain. Red Dead Redemption 2. Hunting is so essential in Red Dead Redemption 2 that it's crazy. Of course, to Rockstar's credit, it ensured that the mechanics are sound from identifying animals and their star ratings to getting the highest quality pelt. Using the correct ammo, skinning the animal for crafting upgrades and outfits, as well as meat, providing a large variety of animals to hunt, and much more will ensure that you're busy hunting for a long, long while. Far Cry Primal. Far Cry's hunting mechanics were already pretty firmly in place, and there isn't much that Far Cry Primal changes about that. Of course, the twist is that you don't have guns and explosives, but spears and arrows to fight the beast off with instead. Knowing when to hunt, finding the right spots to effectively fight, and sneaking up on prey is also keys to victory. Monster Hunter World. A game whose perennial focus is finding tougher monsters to slay, Monster Hunter World is simply phenomenal in the way it conducts hunts. You start off as a novice, finding tracks and battling monsters, learning their patterns and avoiding their most devastating attacks. However, as time goes by, you start implementing traps, mixing different skills, learning about Elder Seal, and generally messing around with different weapons. Throw in a diverse range of environments, turf wars between monsters, and some dynamic AI, and you have one premier hunting experience. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. While it lacks many of the quality of life features of its recent console counterpart, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate definitely has that old school appeal. Monsters must be tagged with paintballs if you want to pursue them. You need to carry pickaxes to mine materials. However, perhaps the coolest parts are the freedom to use whatever you like, the hunting arts and styles which further diversify gameplay, and the sheer amount of monsters to slay. The endgame is also phenomenally deep, with G-Rank and Deviants. Subnautica. Though more of a survival game, Subnautica's crafting bent and sheer range of terrifying underwater creatures to take down ensures you'll be doing plenty of hunting. From leviathans to warpers, the latter actively hunting you as the story progresses, Subnautica presents its fair share of memorable hunts for players. TOUKIDEN 2. Another Monster Hunter-esque game, TOUKIDEN 2 distinguishes itself with increased mobility, hazard levels for regions, and a seamless open world. You get a new demon hand that's good for traversal and tearing limbs from Oni when the opportunity presents itself. The combat may not be as satisfying as Monster Hunter World, but it's a decent enough departure on its own. Hunting isn't all that different from its predecessor. There's a bit of tracking, but nothing too crazy. However, the sheer visceral nature of the hunts make them worth checking out. Grand Theft Auto 5. It's nowhere near as complex as Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of mechanics or animal variety. Furthermore, the only time you really get money from hunting is by playing as Trevor in the Chiliad Mountain State Wilderness. Paying attention to surroundings and keeping downwind are just as important as any other hunting game though. And yes, you really need to watch out for cougars, especially when taking pictures. Deer Hunter. Perhaps the first game that appealed to the mass market and introduced a real bent towards hunting, the Deer Hunter series was a real hit when it first debuted. While it was by no means a great first-person shooter, the art of tracking your prey, customizing weapons, and taking down different wildlife, including, yes, some deer, made for a rather fun hunting experience, even if most modern games have pretty much surpassed it. The Hunter: Call of the Wild. Similar to Deer Hunter, but superior in pretty much every aspect, The Hunter: Call of the Wild takes the premise of realistically hunting wildlife to the current generation. The open world features numerous terrain types spread over 50 square miles, and there are secrets and challenges to discover when out in the wild. Of course, you also have different weapons, from rifles and pistols to hunting bows, and must study your prey to most effectively hunt them. Dauntless. Often cited as a viable free-to-play alternative to Monster Hunter World, Dauntless is a little different in terms of the look and feel of combat. There's a good amount of stuff to do and upgrades to unlock, not to mention some interesting weapons like the Warpike and Chain Blades. The tracking mechanics are incredibly streamlined and combat is way more straightforward, but the aesthetics and core gameplay loop still make Dauntless worth checking out. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Oils, bombs, crossbow ammo, and the good old trusty swords, Geralt certainly has his work cut out for him in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The monsters, from Leshen to Shriekers, each have their own unique traits and weaknesses which you can prepare for beforehand. While late-game encounters may simply boil down to hacking and slashing for the win, amping up the difficulty and mixing different Witcher sets can provide some rather tough challenges for seasoned hunters. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from Gaming Bolt, you can always hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon next to it. That way you will never miss any of our videos.